Alabama that is trying to make a difference. He almost got discouraged though recently because sometimes things don't turn out the way you want them to. We're going to talk to him around 7:30, hopefully, and you ask some questions, see what he's thinking, and encourage this young man to keep doing the job he's done, which has been an outstanding job. Outstanding job. Anyway, we'll be back after our daily bread right after this.
Every moment filled with your warm embrace.
Let's remember in good times what we've learned in days of trouble. Our daily bread. Today's encouragement from the Our Daily Bread devotional was written by Mark DeHaan. This was a tree to be envied. Growing on riverfront property, it didn't have to worry about weather reports, withering temperatures, or an uncertain future. Nourished and cooled by the river, it spent its days lifting its branches to the sun, holding the earth with its roots, cleaning the air with its leaves, and offering shade to all who needed refuge from the sun. By contrast, the prophet Jeremiah pointed to a shrub. When the rain stopped and the summer sun turned the ground to dust, the bush shriveled into itself, offering no shade or fruit to anyone. Why would the prophet compare a flourishing tree to a withering bush? He wanted his people to recall what had happened since their miraculous rescue from the slave yards of Egypt. For 40 years in a wilderness, they lived like a tree planted by a river. Yet in the prosperity of their promised land, they had forgotten their own story. They were relying on themselves and on gods of their own making, even to the point of going back to Egypt looking for help. So God, through Jeremiah, lovingly urged the forgetful children of Israel, and he urges us to hope and trust in the Lord and to be like the tree, not the bush.
Today's Our Daily Bread devotional scripture reading is from Jeremiah chapter 17, verses 5 through 10. This is what the Lord says: Cursed is the one who trusts in man, who draws strength from mere flesh, and whose heart turns away from the Lord. That person will be like a bush in the wastelands. They will not see prosperity when it comes. They will dwell in the parched places of the desert, in a salt land where no one lives. But blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. They will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year of drought, and never fails to bear fruit. The heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can understand it? I, the Lord, search the heart and examine the mind, to reward each person according to their conduct, according to what their deeds deserve. That's today's scripture reading from Jeremiah chapter 17, verses 5 through 10.
Let's pray. Father, in so many ways you have taught us that you alone can be trusted, even when it seems like you are nowhere to be seen. Please help us to recall today what you have already shown us along the way. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Today's encouragement is provided by Our Daily Bread Ministries. Let's remember in good times what we've learned in days of trouble. Our Daily Bread. Today's encouragement from the Our Daily Bread devotional was written by Mark DeHaan. This was a tree to be envied. Growing on riverfront property, it didn't have to worry about weather reports.
Okay, let's not keep doing that. We love our daily bread, but let's move on. Now we are going to salute our armed forces and the young folks that are singing this song this morning. Well, let me show you who I am on the thing here, because I don't want you guys to think I disappeared. The young folks that did this song this morning is from one of our local schools called McMillan. It is like a magnet school of sorts or something like. Anyway, it looks like it takes the top of the top and puts them all together and let them put their brains together. And these kids right here, elementary school kids, and they did it for Veterans Day, and I liked it so well I play it every day now. My granddaughter's in there, as a matter of fact. She is singing somewhere, and I can't tell the voice because they all sound about the same. They all sound good. But anyway, every morning we salute our armed forces because, well, that's just what we're supposed to do. Okay, because without them, there ain't no USA. There may be one, but we'd be speaking a different language. So good morning to them. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, and Space Force. But Montgomery, Alabama, of course, is an Air Force town. Unfortunately, we love them, but they're kind of like stepbrothers to us. Okay, so we'll be right back. You hear my granddaughter in there? Go on, see it. Oh, Scarlett, having your business. All righty then. Now, let me get to, okay, I got one more thing to play, and then we'll get on to some business here, because I got a lot of things to talk about. I got guests coming up and everything. But I only do this on Monday. We try to play something that will hopefully motivate you. I think it's not very long. It's only a couple minutes. What is this thing called? The power of words. And, sometimes we don't really realize that the things that come out of our mouths, and when I say our mouths, I mean our mouth. The things that come out of our mouths can be uplifting, or it can be down. It can bring people down. I'll let you decide which one you want to do, but this is just a reminder that the power of words still have power. So we'll be back right after this, so don't go no place.
Just about everybody that you encounter is often going through something that may not be obvious from the outside, but they're facing a battle on the inside. Everyone that you come across is facing some type of battle in their life. I hope that you'll embrace that you have no idea what God might do through a single word of encouragement. You have no idea how God could use you to offer someone hope to build someone's faith. And I don't know about you, but there is so much negativity in the world today. I can't open up my social media feed without being discouraged. I can't read a news app without just being depressed. I can't talk to people with all the heartbreaking news in the world without being disheartened. And so many people in a polarized world can be so incredibly critical, so undeniably hateful. I think it's time that we as believers step in and lift others, bring words of hope, bring words of encouragement, because the words we speak are filled with power. Our words can build up, or our words can crush. In fact, Scripture says in Proverbs 18:21 that the tongue has the power of life and of death. I want my words to build your faith, to strengthen your confidence, to believe that God is for you, that He's with you, that He'll never leave you, He'll never forsake you, He's working in you. If it were up to me, I would encourage you and build your faith, because everyone, you see, is facing a battle that you don't know anything about.
The Scripture tells us that life and death is in the power of the tongue. That makes total sense. Because if you'll just stop for 1 second and look back over your life, I guarantee you that every one of us in this room have got at least one instant in our life where we know we have seen the power of the tongue produce death. Death to relationships, death to jobs. How many people you know have been fired because of their mouth? How many marriages have been destroyed because of mouths, because of the tongue? So let's use our words to benefit us. Let's use our words to make the world around us better. Let's use our words to make our relationships better. Let's use our words to bring life to our marriage, life to our kids, life to our jobs, life to our minds, life to our families. Speak words that edify, speak words that build up, speak words that embrace, speak words that forgive, speak words that love, speak words that heal.
Words are full of power. They can heal, they can wound, they can minister death, they can minister life, they can encourage, they can discourage, they can build up, they can tear down. People get divorces over words. Families are split apart over words. People lose jobs over words. People have insecurity and a poor self-image over words that have been spoken to them. Words are containers for power. And we need to choose our words very carefully. And it's time for us to step up to the plate and be accountable for the words that we allow to come out of our mouth. No man can tame the tongue. We need God's help. So you want to pray every day for God to help you with your mouth.
We are constantly speaking words, and even a few can have the power of life and death. Now, some of you know this because you grew up in homes where a few words spoken to you had power of life or had power of death. And you can remember those words, just 3 or 4 words that maybe a parent, a teacher, a sibling, a friend, a coach said to you, and it either brought some life or brought some death into your world.
One of the best things you can do for your relationships, if you're married, if you have children, if you're a leader or an influencer at work, if you have someone in your small group, is to bless them with words of encouragement. Set the blessing free. You encourage what you want to see, and you typically see more of it. If it were up to me, I would be so encouraging. If you think something good, say it. If you think something good, say it. In a world full of so much criticism, so much hatred, so much disappointment, so much negativity, as people of the light, we'll lift up others around us.
So Genesis 1, the Bible tells us the earth was formless, it was empty, or it was void. And it says that darkness was over the surface of the deep. So there was just nothing. There was nothing. And then verse 3, here's what we read. And God said. Maybe your translation says, and God spoke. So God speaks into the nothingness. He speaks into the darkness, and he says, let there be light, and there was light. And so at the very beginning of time, God creates the universe, but how does he do it? What tool does he use? He uses words. He speaks the universe into existence. God says, and it is. And we see this throughout the creation account. God said, and it happened. He speaks it. And so God uses words to bring about life and light. God uses words to build up, to create. He speaks into darkness, and he says light, and lights come on. And so we see from the beginning the power of words, that words are the tool that God uses. Flip over a couple chapters, Genesis 3. And in this passage, we see that words have the power of death. And so this is the passage of Scripture where sin enters into the world. God has created man and woman. He said that it's very good. Now Satan comes on the scene in the form of a serpent. And verse 1 tells us that the serpent was clever, more clever, in fact, than any wild animal God had made. And what did he do? He spoke. He spoke to the woman, and he said, do I understand that God told you? So he speaks, and when he speaks, he attacks what God has said. And do I understand that God told you not to eat from any tree in the garden? And then he would go on to say, hey, God didn't really say that. And so what does the enemy use? The enemy uses words to bring death to where there was life, and to bring darkness to where there was light. Now here's what's interesting, of course, is that the serpent's words were not true, but that didn't keep his words from having power. Right? Like the moment Adam and Eve speak the words in their own hearts, the moment they believe those words, they give life to them. They empower them. So God speaks, the serpent speaks, and we just see from the beginning there's the power of life, there's the power of death. God speaks and he creates and he builds and he blesses. The enemy speaks and he tempts and he accuses, he deceives, he destroys. It's hard.
The power of words. We'll get the rest of that maybe tomorrow. So I got a guest coming around 7:30. So I forgot about that for a second. But the power. Where's my pretty face at there? Okay, there you go, right there. Okay, good looking fella there. Anyway, good morning. The power of words. There are, man, we don't know sometimes. All right, today's while I wait for my guest to show up in a couple of minutes, hopefully. Today's lessons of life. We give a lesson of life every day. Things that we learn by living, not by what somebody else's life that have lived, but our own lives. And I'm just giving you some of the things that I've learned along the way, and I'm still learning every day. But forgive people. Forgive people who judge you by your past, because a lot of us, not them, a lot of us have forgotten, well, that we have a past also. So we say, go ahead, let them knock, because you don't live there anymore. Okay? And I'm just telling, that's when people come up to you, remember, man, back in the day, you remember when we used to do? Yeah, I remember it. I don't want to remember it. You know, I was stupid then. No sense being stupid twice in life. Okay? Just one time. Going through here one time stupid is enough. We don't want to do it 2 times or 3 times or 4 times, although some people do. Anyway, forgive people who judge you by your past. They have forgotten that they have one too. So once again, go ahead, let them knock. But you don't live there anymore. So carry on. And again, that's where the power of words comes from and things of that nature. Let me tell you about our sponsor this morning, just in case you have forgotten, because I don't want you to forget, because these are great people. And our sponsor is One Stop Wireless, 334-320-2988. They are located at 3445 Atlanta Highway, right next to the gas station right down the corner of Coliseum and Atlanta Highway. But one of the nice things they actually have the ability to do, if you got a bunch of old cell phones in your office or in your home somewhere, you got grandkids you want to give a phone, but you don't want to go out and buy them all these new iPhones, which I wouldn't. They can take your old phones that you have most of the time, and put you on their system. Okay, put you on their system. Let me turn that off right quick. Put you on their system, and that phone will work again. Okay, so take it to them, call them up first if you want to, and of course I gave you a number here for a couple minutes. 320. Okay, here's the number. Here's the number of One Stop Wireless. 320-2988. Oh, so you can take that phone and let them turn it on. If it's sitting there, no sense going out. And I have, me personally, now I've stopped chasing Apple. I'm not buying a new phone. And it took me a long time to get some wisdom about that. Every time another one came out, I had to go buy another. But then I got to thinking, all I want to do is say hello or take a picture and send it to them or whatever the case may be. I mean, it's not like we're going to eat dinner on the phone, you know. So as a matter of fact, as much of these phones calls, we could probably eat a hell of a lot more dinners than we've had. But anyway, that's a whole different story. But anyway, oh, I said a bad word. I'm not supposed to say bad words. I didn't mean to say a bad word. It just came out, you know. But I promise I wouldn't say those things anymore, because that's not me. That's not who I am. Every once in a while, it's who I am, but not too often. Okay. So anyway, so One Stop Wireless, give them a call. They open at 9 o'clock. Okay. They great people. They not only do they got a wireless internet, $45 a month. Wireless internet, $45 a month, and you can take it with you. You don't have to call Spectrum and nobody with you. Just take it with you. It's on the T-Mobile network. Just take it with you, and you can move anywhere you want to move. You ain't got to keep calling somebody. Tell them, can you turn on my can you come turn on my wireless? Because Spectrum and all these folks, they make a killing off you by doing that. Okay, they can do that. They also have some DJ stuff in there, the speakers and things. You can hook it up to your cell phone and stuff like that, and bam, you are rolling. But anyway, One Stop Wireless. You need a cell phone, or you already got a cell phone. You got one of those old Notes. You got one of them those other ones. They can turn it on for you. You need to just give them a call and see whether or not they can turn yours on. No sense buying a new phone because you stuck it to the last guy. We understand, and we all stuck it to somebody along the way. All right then. So now, anyway, give them a call. Okay, One Stop Wireless. Okay, that's who you want to talk. 320-2988. Now I am waiting, hopefully, for my good friend Charles Charles Hot Dog Man Lee. He is going to join us about. He was on the Facebook last week, and one of his students evidently just got into a little trouble, and he was somewhat despondent, and he was kind of just out of it for a minute because he had worked so hard with some of these kids, and then one of them left. They just kids will still make mistakes. Kids will, and they'll make them more than once. There are some mistakes, and this is why we call this show Decisions. There are some mistakes you make, and you can learn from it and move on. There are others not so easy. That's why in our world today, it seems that we are not teaching our young folks to the ability of the thought process of logic and reason. And does it make sense? Let's do it. If it doesn't, it don't. But until he gets it, let me. Somebody sent me a story this morning. I want you guys to look at this. Somebody sent me a story this morning that I absolutely loved, and this is what I like to share with you guys. Okay, because let me see. Where's it at right here? Is this Reverend? Okay, okay. Now here's a story right here that I believe that you guys are going to love, because this is what I be trying to say. I don't say it quite as well as some people do, but we have to get out of this thing about making excuses of why we fail, rather than come up with an excuse to do better. Because often we do we let our kids get away, like the public schools sometimes. Well, he don't have no. Oh, what to do next? Hmm. Charles, you give me a call on the phone. Um, Let me see, Charles. Okay, 334. What's my number here? 521. 521 2963. Okay. Okay, get him because Charles is having some problem um, with our online studio, and so we're just going to let him give us the audio version today. Okay, because I'm stuck in the middle of this. But anyway, so this is a story that I love because it's what I've always said. You know, it's what I've always said, and this is what. And so let me get this on here right quick, and you guys are going to love this. Okay, and then hopefully I'll have Charles on in a couple of minutes, and let's go here. Let's see what it says.
Behind a different type of medical breakthrough. Take a good look at these 5 doctors. More than a portrait, it's a moment suspended in history. For the first time, 5 African American surgeons now lead the trauma service at the preeminent Johns Hopkins Hospital. Tonight, we hear from some of the trailblazers behind this historic team.
My parents are so proud. I am the first physician in my family, and I think it's so impactful.
For Dr. Lawrence Brown, medicine is more than science, it's service.
That's what's important to me. Equity has to remain at the forefront of how we deliver care.
Hey, hold on, Charles, for 1 second. I'll be right back with you. Don't go nowhere. Yeah, hold on a second. Pretty good. Just hold on a second. Yeah. Don't listen to anything in the background. Hold, yeah, hold on a second, and then I'll be right back with you. All right? Yeah, hold on. I'll be right back with you. You got me? Charles? Okay, never mind. I'll share this story. Charles, you still there? Charles? Okay, you got me there? Okay. Yeah, I was trying to show a video. I didn't know it would in that, but I'm gonna I'll show a video. I can hear you fine. Yeah, you can't there's a delay, so you can't listen to anything in the background. Yeah. I don't know what's up. I don't know what's up with that. Can you hear me now? Well, I can hear you fine. Um, do you have well, first of all, tell the folks who you are. I'll let you this is your second. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Wait. Never mind. I think I know what's wrong. Okay, Charles. Let me see if I can get you. Okay. Let me see if I can get you on. All righty then. Can you hear me now? Well, you wouldn't. Anyway, I was trying to show a video, but since I got you now, this has been a labor of love here. Tell the folks who you are and what do you do? You are the founder of That's My Child, which is undertaken a bunch of different titles over the years, trying to figure out how to help our young folks. And I think you've done an impressive job in what you have done. But tell the folks who you are. Yeah. As a matter of fact, you would be downtown being an entrepreneur, selling your hot dogs and some good dogs too. As a matter of fact, I remember. Are the kids doing that now? Or are you not? You did away with that? Okay. Okay. Well, it's I mean it's an outstanding. You're doing. Somebody said if you tell somebody how to fish, they fish for a day. But if you show them how to fish, right, they eat for a day. Excuse me. But if you show them, they can eat for a lifetime. And you have done. But what got me to call you the other day was I saw you on Facebook, and what is your Facebook name? Is it that's my dog, or that's my child, or okay, okay. Yeah, I want them to go see who you are, since I don't have it at the moment online. But anyway, the other day, you have made a profession out of helping folks who sometimes get off the tracks, and you have gone into their lives without much money. Get a little help here, get a little help here, but for the most part, it's been your money, your hard work, your dedication. That I don't know if I could have that much dedication because my patience with young folks, unfortunately, it's not like yours. And the other day, I saw you, and you were sort of downtrodden because one of the kids that you helped, either one of got in trouble or passed away or something. And I was wondering, man, I mean, you really felt that. And so I just wanted to talk to you and tell me, well, what happened?
loss, and sometimes the loss is great when you have to stand over a young person or
Okay. Okay. I think I had
and
you.
there's no. Oh,
I think I didn't have you on my thing. Okay. All right then. Sorry about that, Frank and everybody. I got it now, but I think y'all can hear it now. I forgot that. I need a producer. Anyway, let me ask you a question, Charles. And I on the phone with us, ladies and gentlemen, is Charles Lee of That's My Child and That's My Dog. He's infamous for being around town, helping the young folks and things of that nature. Last week, I guess a week before last, he had one of his people end up in prison, and I think one of them end up being like folks usually unalived, but he died in a confrontation with the police department, and you can only do so much as an individual. But Charles, are it's difficult for us to have the conversations we really need to have in our communities because we don't like having it. And that conversation, even in our churches, we don't like having it. We act like it's kind of like, we walking past a graveyard and everybody acting like ain't no graveyard over there, you know. And that is the absenteeism of Black fathers in our communities. It's everybody knows that it's the biggest part of what's going on in our communities where our young folks are just it takes a man, and I'm just trying to why can't we every time well, you can't talk, they want to do, and every time we have that conversation we go back to, oh, the white man this or the white man that, or the lack of jobs or the lack of DEI or the lack of this and the lack of that, when the actuality is that the most important, because even when Black folks was poor, didn't have nothing, wasn't riding around in new cars, we had families, and dad was an essential part of that. Why can't we have that conversation?
So just to be clear, the first part we were talking about, we wasn't on air, we wasn't on air then, or
Well, yeah, well, we were trying to, but
okay, I ain't look. I'm still clueless. I ain't know if all that I said was on air or not on air,
it
man.
was. But when it gets paid, when
oh,
it gets played back today, it's going to be there because yeah.
oh,
But
okay.
I forgot to
Oh,
put your microphone on right there. Unfortunately,
nah, it's all good. It's all good. But you think a lot of these things do stem, but that's a bigger conversation when we talk about fatherless homes in our community.
but that is the conversation. That is the conversation
What
that needs to be had.
No, but I'm saying there's a deeper conversation. You're right when it comes to like fathers not being in our home, but systematically, that looked like that was a thing. And a lot of people, when you talk about like the Willie Lynch letter, if it's true or if it's not, but if you read it, a lot of the stuff that's in there, it is true now of how to like enslave, blacks, mentally instead of physically. You know what I'm saying? And that's a lot with the fatherless homes because if they say it takes a village to raise a child, but most young men is starting that village in these communities without a father. How much farther do that put you in your village if you don't even start off with a provider or someone that's going to discipline or whatever? And that's pretty much like if the system was designed, like they had a law back in the day, as I was doing a little research or whatever, that, all these benefits that say if you take a poor family that's just getting out of slavery and they can't vote and things like that. But now you take away, just a father or whatever. They said, like, if you take away a father, how you do that is you give the woman all of these things, whether it's free food stamps, benefits, all these government assistance under one condition. That guy cannot come back home. So you give her $100,000 lifestyle, right? And you beat the black guy down with in prison and these, because that was a real thing or whatever. The country that was like, all right, we don't feel you as equal, so you'll be slaves. And then the civil rights era, and then now you're in the era of, all right, how do we not beat them or kill them or hang them and things like that, but how do we destroy like a community? And you take away the strongest part of that community, which is the men, right? And after you do that so long, then now the mothers, they do take the lifestyle of all of these benefits, but then what happens? who's going to protect and provide for the kid, to discipline the kids? If the dad is there to discipline and provide, now the mom is working 2 jobs. And so mom is working 2 jobs, who's raising these young people? It's going to either be an organization in that community or that community that's full of, drug activities and poverty. And that's not the story for, all blacks, but a lot of, like, in America, that is kind of how the urban communities, because anywhere you go in America, and it's just not Montgomery, you go to Chicago, D.C., or Miami, there'll be a place called the Projects, and they'll be filled with, blacks. And, so I can go on and on, but I'm just saying the deeper conversation is not just, the black fathers don't want to be there. It was a system that kind of designed to get black fathers out of these communities or whatever. And that really is what we're seeing today, right now, here in America in real time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Some people, I want you to reiterate what you do and what you've done for our kids by going. You would go to court for kids, talk to
and
things like that.
And I could kind of reply. I'm sure, I don't know if y'all gonna edit and cut, all of the first part of our 5-minute conversation we was having, they wasn't privy to, but so my name is Charles Lee, and we had a youth organization where we mentor youth through arts, education, entrepreneurship, and workforce development. And so that is our goal for the last 18 years. I've been right here in North Montgomery, just kind of mentoring young people, giving them a better opportunity. And the reason why I do it is because I was one of these young people. I lost my father in 82, not to gun violence, but to the crack epidemic or whatever. And so that's kind of how a lot of our fathers were shooken, out of those communities as well. But and just growing up without a father, I had 2 sisters that get pregnant at very young ages, 13 and 14, and they came to me and they was like, "We hungry." I had a mama. She was also addicted to crack as well. So at 11 years old, I tried to play the man of the house, and I started selling drugs. In Chicago, you had to join the gang. So I was joining the gang, and joining the gang, it makes you do different things or to fit in, or even the rules and regulations. And so ended up getting shot at the age of 13 years old, ended up, I'm going to jail at a very young age or whatever. And that was the pattern of my life of being in this community without a father. But I happened to run into the Father, which is Jesus Christ, and he changed my life, and he showed me why was my childhood so jacked up, and because I needed to go back and redirect young people that was going through similar situations, because I understood it all. I understood not having a father. I understood having to sell drugs at a young age, not to be cool or you just want to be bad, but that was your only means of providing for your family. I didn't know how to, shovel snow or rake up leaves. My big cousin showed me how to, sell drugs. And so that's what I ended up doing. And out of desperation, man, I ended up getting shot, in the gang life. And so when a young person, I had to stand up at their bedside, I know what it's like to not have a father. Because when I got shot at 13, my father wasn't there. I wanted to show him, like, man, I got a hole in my chest, but he was battling his issues or in jail. And I ended up going to jail at a young age or whatever. So when young people go to jail, it's like I could visit them there because I understand that. You know what I'm saying? And so that's pretty much why I do what I do and what I've done for the last 18 years. And the Facebook post was just out of 18 years of serving in this community, we've had a lot of great wins where young people, they graduate from college, they become doctors or lawyers. We go to their weddings, a lot of great stories, but we also 50% have bad stories where we have to visit kids in jail or have to speak at their eulogy. And for me, I lost a best friend of mine when I was 12 years old, and I witnessed him get, shot in the head. And at 12 years old, not going through counseling, nothing like that, you just replaying it over in your head, like, how could you have been better? How could you have done something different? It's like, you see that a lot with these young people, that when you have to stand over their casket, it's like, man, he only 20 or he only 18 or he never get to see like the rest of life. And a lot of times they take a toll on your heart and you be like, man, it's what we're doing. Because the stats of America say 1 in every 3 black men will be locked up or in jail. And a lot of times or dead. And a lot of times you look at those stats and be like, man, there's no way that's true, because I see a lot of, but it's like, dealing with this over and over again, it's like, man, 50% of our young guys or young ladies, they succeed, but a lot of them just get caught up in these communities and don't succeed. And so that was what the Facebook post was all about, for real.
Wow, I actually didn't know all that happened to you. I was headed in the wrong way real quick at 17. I had to run across an army recruiting station. Plus, they was giving away free food, so I ended up in the army. So thank God for that. What are the age of the kids that you tried to help?
So at our organization, we serve from 8 to 18, but 14 to 18. So right now, like I said, in our community, we primarily only do an after-school program at That's My Child. That's what we've done thus far. But out of 18 years of only serving young people, we realize, man, unless we figure out how to serve their whole family, change their environment, we don't win. Like the young man, like last week, I did that post because I just had a lot of young guys that was going through issues that were starting off good, but just went down a bad path, and like the young guy that was, murdered by law enforcement. He was shooting at law enforcement. We call him JD, and that was just like the icing on the cake because you see a lot of these young guys and they're trying to do good. Like we got three of those guys, and I sent I sent it to you in your text message. So whenever we talked about it this morning, you'll see that these guys how they started off in the picture, with just guns and big guns, and then we started mentoring them because we went to this alternative school where they were already put out of school, and this was in 2018, and we try to do everything we can, but all of these young guys will come from fatherless homes, and I've already joined gangs and these experiences where it's like you gonna come in and how could you outweigh my situation? And we thought we were doing everything that we could with these young guys from this program that we know that they were in an alternative school. We were taking them to the jail where they'll go on the fourth floor and Sheriff Cunningham will give us that experience with these young guys, or they'll go up to the fourth floor. Or we'll go take them to a Roster Clayton funeral home where they give a speech about a young man that didn't make it and he died, and it was them in the casket. There was a mirror, Or we took them to the DA. He allowed them to witness cases of guys that was getting murdered. We tried to do everything we could with these young guys, and then give them mentors and be there for them. But all three of those guys ended up in bad situations. And one of them got sentenced to 30 years at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of last year. And he wrote me a letter like, Mr. Lee, I know y'all tried to change my life, but, my situation just had more of me than you guys did because I was just there for 3 or 4 hours a day when I needed a place to go the whole time. I needed you guys all the time because I was listening to my friends and just the whole situation or whatever. But he was like, but I got a brother that's 14 years old, and is there any way y'all can give him what y'all tried to give me, but I didn't listen because he's headed down the same path or whatever. So basically, we have to relight the fire with these young people because we only do after school care. So if they go to a school in our neighborhood, which will probably be deemed by the state felon, then they come to us for 3 hours, we preach over, then we send them back to a neighborhood full of disparities and, losses. Like we have to relight the fire every single day. And our goal is, how do we break the cycle? And we have to really wrap our arms around their whole environment, which is their father or their mom, even their absent father. Right here, That's My Child. Like 82% of our students don't have fathers living in the homes. So it's like, how do we bring these fathers back? Because we have identified, like you said, that is the issue. But what's the solution? And as we talk to fathers and try to build fatherhood programs, we realize a lot of them, some of them just go away because of their government program. It was like, all right, you got me on child support, forget it, I ain't gonna do nothing with it. You or the whole family, I'm just done. And then they just be absent. But how do we persuade you to say, hey, this young person still needs you on their team because they're lacking so much that we can't provide as mentors, right? Moms, if they work in 2 jobs, how do we give them the skills to not work at Burger King in the daytime and McDonald's at nighttime or whatever? Or whatever. It's like, how do we give you the skills of how you can just have one good job where you can work Monday through Friday and be off on the weekends and the evenings to spend time with young people? And so having those parenting classes as well as, just family counseling, a lot of stuff that we go through that we just never have an opportunity to talk about because in this community it just seems taboo. But how do we really have family counseling to be able to have a professional to talk about and do some healing, through that trauma? And so our goal now is we're trying to start a school. We're trying to purchase 12 acres behind us and adjacent to us on our already existing campus to do something, a holistic approach, which we call Hope City, because who can't use hope, right? And so we're trying to buy 12 acres to do a couple of things. We want to put a school, our full-time school, which will be Hope Academy. We want to do a family parent academy. We want to do a trade school where students will learn trades through our high school as well. And then dormitory housing for our students that's unplaced. And so this upcoming fall, we're in the process of now trying to start a small school. And so I would love for you and all of the people that's listening to be praying for that. And then we're having a fundraiser, April 2nd. It's called Hot Dogs and Heroes, that I would love for you guys to be a part of. It's April 2nd at the Garrett Coliseum. and we'll be doing a fundraiser to raise funds for those things. And we'll have about 30 local restaurants where everybody can come out and taste it, like a taste of Montgomery. So I'd love for you guys to support that, and be praying for us to be able to kind of, do what we're trying to do and make a holistic approach and being able to truly help families.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know since I have been here, and I've been here 31 years. I mean, you have one of the most successful programs, especially when you guys have graduation for your kids. I went over there and spoke one time. They probably said, "Who's that old guy?" But I came over there and I talked to a bunch of kids. I was very, very proud of what you had accomplished and what you're still accomplishing. I just didn't want you to get disheartened because you can save who you can, but you won't save everybody. But you give everybody an opportunity to change their life. My thing is, though, I'm just telling you, until we deal with this fatherless thing, and I understand that, but to me, you can have all the money in the world, and there's still an empty place in your heart for your dad, or if you don't believe in God, there's some essential things that make up the universe that we have, and that's why we got men and women and fathers and mothers, and I just think sometimes we let these guys off the hook too easily, and I don't know what to do about it. I don't have the answers because I'm not up there in the big old government spectrum of things, but I just think we as black men ought to hold other black men accountable for what they don't do. Back in the day, if somebody hit your sister and she had 6 brothers like my sisters did, guess what? That only happened once. Because we took care of that. I think.
But is that accountability or is that vengeance, right? So there's a difference.
A little bit of. Sometimes you need a little bit of both.
Yeah, but I think you gave vengeance on that brother, right? That hit your sister. But where's the course of being able to change that person's life so he don't hit another young lady, or you didn't get to the source of it, And I think that's the thing about trying to hold fathers accountable, is you don't know why that father stepped out. And so you can judge and try to hit him or get some vengeance, or you can try to listen to that brother and see what was it. You know what I'm saying? What wasn't, because as a man, nobody really wants to step out and separate from their kids, right? So what was it to the point that forced you to do it? Like my father, I don't think my father wanted to, but drugs were brought into our community in the 80s, and it was brought to them like, hey, you like to smoke marijuana? Try this. This is just like marijuana, not knowing that they was about to be hooked for life. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you saying, Charles, but I have never smoked a cigarette, never had a taste of alcohol. We do these things because we choose to do them, and there are ramifications. We got to stop making excuses for these men who walk out on their kids. Mine did. My father wasn't there either. There's no excuse. Back in the day when all we had was slavery and farms, funny, we help them take care of our kids. We got to stop. We got to hold these young men accountable for what they are, and women too, for what they're doing. It's almost like child abandonment. And then these young kids grow up to be older kids, young adults, teenagers, grown men, and they're following the same. I'm just saying we need to have that conversation in a serious way. But what you're doing, and you're interceding, because my plan is the long plan. Your plan is the plan right now. And at the moment, we need your plan. But but in the long run, I think older men need to, we need to talk to somebody. I mean, hey, sometimes take a butt whooping, you just got to give them one. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Something's wrong. Yeah. Something's wrong. We just got to have that conversation. We have family reunions now in jail. I said, yeah. I don't know what to do about it, but I know you came up under that. I came up under that situation. I didn't like it then, and I still don't like it today.
How do we break it though? That's the cycle. Like, see, if you went through it in your generation, and Kevin, you seem a lot older than me. But that shows you here in America there is a cycle in the system of because that man. I was gonna make a Facebook post like black and white. We look around, man, and we keep fighting each other or whatever about America or whatever, you know. And as I look around, man, it's like everybody else is running and dominating America and just laughing at us black and white still fighting, you know. I can't go into a gas station where it ain't, you know, Indian on, you know what I'm saying, or
But
you know,
that's our
just
fault
community.
too. But that's our fault too. We love basketball, football. Some of our greatest heroes are sports celebrities, but they don't really do nothing for the communities. Michael Jordan could have had could have had a shop, a manufacturing his own tennis shoes, so these kids not only could buy them at a least expensive price, but he could provide jobs for those communities in Chicago. But he didn't. I mean, we've got to hold each other accountable for the things we do not do.
Yeah, that's true, and I think we could hold other people accountable, right? And say, but or we could hold ourselves accountable into like what are we doing, right? So it's like I heard a song that said I woke up and I seen the world so in trouble, and it's like I got to doing all this complaining. And I told God like you need to do something. He was like I did. I created you, and let's get to work, you know. And so if it's an issue that you see, like okay, you see it, what can we do about these fatherless homes? You got to ask yourself as an individual, what am I doing, you know, about these fatherless homes? Am I bringing guys or young people that don't have fathers, or am I reaching out to fathers that I know that don't have a relationship with their kids? Like if there's an issue in my heart, I can talk about it, or I can get to work doing something. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what it's about: getting to work, understanding these fathers.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. But I say the best. Matter of fact, somebody told me to ask you about the hot dog heroes. I didn't know you had that. What's that about?
Yeah, so that's the fundraiser that we have going on this April 2nd, where we'll have about 30 food vendors at the Gary Coliseum, and we're looking for people to support. That's the way you can get involved. You say like, how I know I don't want to get out here and do a lot of work, so how can I help a young person that, or how can I help young people or whatever? And that's how you can get involved by bringing your friends out, coming to eat, or at Hot Dogs and Heroes, or we'll be celebrating 10 heroes. All of the community that's been doing good work, but also eating good food from about 30 local restaurants all in the river region.
Okay. And that's going to be April the what now?
April 2nd at the Gary Coliseum. And all you have to do is type in Hot Dogs and Heroes and you'll get all of the information.
Well, we certainly want to talk to you a little bit more before then, just to put it reasserted to us on our mind, so we know about that. But listen, I think you're doing a wonderful job, and we're not we can't put everything on you. I mean, you can only do so much. It is up, but I will say one thing: if every man takes care of his own son, okay, that will help. Okay, that take care of his own kids, that will help. I don't go into this. It takes a village. I mean, when the village get involved, we in trouble. Okay, I just think it takes your own dad, your own mom, and everybody won't be able to do it.
Even a dad needs a village, and a mom needs a village. Like all of them for support. You know, everybody needs that kind of support. You know, or the dads will fall away. You know, and the dad might be gone or dead, but that young person still needs that village. You know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and that's a Southern colloquialism that I've never heard till I got down here. Okay, and you're from are you from Chicago?
I am born and raised, in Chicago. I left Chicago after I got shot in the chest at 13. So,
right. Well, I'm from next door, South Bend. So.
Oh, okay, yeah, I heard of that.
So I never heard of this village concept until I got down south. Okay, so.
It's that. Yeah, but I think I understand it too better, and going to Africa, you know, like these African proverbs, you understand that better as well too, because definitely in Africa they have villages, and in Africa it ain't about like what kind of, you got a Mercedes, you got this or all that is. The flex is taking care of the village, of helping each other. Like, so y'all have different like parts where it's like, hey, we gonna all split. Like I seen a young person had to be about 7 to 8, and I just gave him like a piece of candy. And he split that one piece of candy between about 6 of them. You know what I'm saying? All his age.
Yeah.
And so that's the village. It's about whatever I have, we divide it and share together, because, you know, you might be up today, but you might be down tomorrow as a father. So you got a father, and you say to take care of your kid, but the father lose his job. And now how you gonna provide? Well, the village, hey, we ain't gonna just let you starve. We're gonna feed you. I can help fix your car. I can help get you to work. Oh, I know somebody that's hiring over here, So that's why we all need that village, because without a village, your father's gonna fall. Because you can't do it all by yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like you said. So it takes the village really to support. And if a family is down, that's why you got a village to, all right, let's make sure that you don't sink. But we're gonna help you out, and we're gonna help you along the way. So
one more thing, off subject for a second, because somebody told me to ask you: did you and Mr. Reed satisfy your differences along the way? Or that's still on the back burner?
Look, I know y'all couldn't get through without that or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that's too funny. But to be honest, it's still in my heart. I know God's gonna do something. You know what I'm saying? Like God said, He's gonna use this whole situation for His glory. Okay. And so far, we're still in the process of seeing that work. But I don't have no hard feelings against him at all. You know what I'm saying? I pray for him every day, him and his family. Pray for him, the leader of the city. How we work out our differences, we still working through it. But my hope is one day this will be resolved, and maybe we can use this as a situation. This is my goal of it all, or this is what I will pray to happen. Okay. That one day, we could sit on a major stage or whatever in Montgomery and shake hands to agree or to disagree, or to shake hands to agree, because we can't expect for our young people to have conflict resolution if us at the top can't have conflict resolution as leaders. You know what I'm saying? So my goal is that God will use this as an example to show how Black men can still come together and have a disagreement and really resolve that well. Right. So.
And that's good teaching. That's good teaching. Appreciate it. I wasn't going to bring it up, but so many people asked me that.
No, it's all good, and I've heard them on your show a couple of times, and I've heard the conversations or whatever, and a lot of that want to spark back and come and call and say eventual stuff. But I realize, and we, like you said, we all have to be accountable for ourselves, and for me, I'm trying to be more and more like Jesus every day, and I know that I am far still from that. But every day I'm trying to be just a little bit better, you know what I'm saying? And as you were talking about before, I didn't even know you played like Christian music or did like a reading of God's word or whatever before. I ain't even, I don't watch a whole lot because I'm up giving out kids.
Yeah.
But it's about forgiveness, and I think I seen Matthew 5, and like God don't even want your offering if your brother has an odd against you. He didn't even say if you have an odd against your brother. It's like if your brother got beef with you, God don't even want your gift. He wants you to go and get it right with your brother. And so, that's been a lot on my heart. It's like, how do we get this right? Like, how do I get it right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't worry about everybody else, but how do I get it right and get this over with? And so that's kind of what I've been praying about too, man. How do we make this right? So
okay,
maybe.
Charles, you listen. Keep up the good work, and I'm sorry you lost that young man that you'd worked so hard to but hopefully out of that will be the motivation for other young folks to come see you, or the people that are in your program. They will understand that there are consequences for the decisions that we make, and hopefully, if nothing else comes out of this, out of that tragedy, except we'll make somebody think twice about picking up a gun, about shooting at the police, or doing bad things. Hopefully, somebody will say, "Whoa, that is serious business." And we may not want to do that. And thank you for your help over the years of the things you've done. And again, we'll talk again just right when it comes to Hot Dogs and Heroes, and we'll make sure you come on and I'll put it on my Facebook page. You put it on yours, and because we need to. If nothing else, we can give a couple of dollars.
I know that's real.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it all takes dollars. So whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Thanks, Charles.
Yeah.
Charles Lee. That's my dog.
That's my dog, man. I appreciate you having me on this.
Wait, let me ask you one more thing. Do y'all put coleslaw?
Yeah,
do y'all put coleslaw on the hot dogs yet?
So we do. We started out doing that. We've been doing that for the last 13 years, man. We got 31 different toppings, so you can get whatever you want on your hot dog, from chili, cheese, sauerkraut, coleslaw, onions, jalapenos. We got our own delicious secret sauce, and I got a secret that I'm working on now, man. That's my dog. We're trying to create our own brand of hot dogs and sausages. So be on the lookout.
All right. Appreciate you, Charles. We'll talk again.
All right. That's my dog. All right,
that's you, my dog too. Now in the back room right there now, looking all spiffy this morning, we got Mr. Well, tell him who you are.
Well, good morning, Kevin.
Morning.
I'm State Representative Phillip Ensler, candidate for Lieutenant Governor of Alabama. And this is my first time coming on virtually. I'm used to coming to see you in the studio, so needed to make sure I look sharp for your audience.
You look good. You look good. You look good.
I appreciate it.
You are not from which district do you represent?
I represent District 74, which is mostly Midtown Montgomery, and then it goes north up to the zoo area, and then south down to Woodley Park and part of Spring Valley.
Okay, that was Charlotte Meadows district at one time.
It was Charlotte Meadows, and then it flipped, and I've been in there since 2022, and proud to have been representing you, Kevin, these last few years.
All right. Well, you mean the Democrats kind of jerry-rigged the system? The gerrymandered the.
It is so gerrymandered by the Republicans have the supermajority. They draw the maps, they draw the districts, so you got to put that one on them.
Okay, there is I'm starting a movement called "Who Do They Work For?" Okay, and because we are beginning to feel as citizens of Alabama that our representatives work for somebody, but it certainly is not us, especially when it comes to the lottery. Everybody I know wants a lottery, not the whole gambling thing, the casino, but we want a lottery like every state that is around us has a lottery. So who do they work for down there?
So let me say this. I can only speak for myself. I know I am unbought and unbossed, and I work for the people of District 74, and hopefully one day the people of all of Alabama. And as far as the lottery, it is, to me, it's crazy that we don't have one. Like you said, it is hundreds of millions of dollars that are going to Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi, that are going over state lines, and we're missing out on funds that we can be using to benefit the people of this state. And that's why I filed a bill last week to create just a lottery. Doesn't deal with other gaming or gambling related issues or casinos. It's just a straight up lottery, and a lottery that can go towards public education needs, can go towards healthcare and keeping hospitals open. And the most important one, though, I propose in it sending rebate checks. So sending money back to Alabamians. I know, and Kevin, you've brought this up a lot, people's utility bills, their power bills are crazy expensive. So I'm proposing let's send rebate checks back to people, have them help pay their utility bill, help pay their car note, help pay their rent, their mortgage, their health care, just something, because I know people are struggling. So you're right. People, Democrat, Republican, Independent, they want a lottery. And at this point, we should put it on the ballot in November and allow the people to decide, allow the people of Alabama to vote on whether they want a lottery.
Okay. Well, we keep hearing it every year, and it never happens. That's why we're trying to figure out who do they work for down there, because it certainly is not us, because a vast majority of people want a lottery. We just want one. So I don't know why we can't get from the people we pay over $60,000 a year for a part-time job, can't listen to the people who pay the bill. I'm just flabbergasted. I don't know.
And what I would encourage you and others to do is so that in the House, we passed a comprehensive gaming bill 2 years ago that included a lottery. In the Senate, it came up a vote short, and all the Democrats voted for it. There were several Republicans that voted no. So what I would encourage people to do is that I don't have the full list off the top of my head, but I can follow up and share, and you can share it with your listeners. Let everybody know who voted no on that bill, and call up those senators, call them up, write their offices, and say to them, you've been elected to represent the people. The people overwhelmingly want to have a say in the lottery, and continue to put that pressure on, because it really does, not always, but it works when the public reaches out and puts that pressure on. So I know it's frustrating, that, and it's been almost 30 years since people have had a chance to vote on a lottery. And
as soon as we figure out who they work for, we're going to their boss. Because obviously it is not us. So I'm gonna do an investigative journalism here and find out who they work for. But I think you work for us, because you've always been You've always been willing to come forward and talk to people. Let me ask you another question. Talking about the light bill, Alabama Power has a guaranteed percentage of return profit on their business. Why is that? When nobody, I don't know another business in Alabama that has that kind of guarantee. And the public service department, and to add to that, some idiots want to take the public service department and make it a place where we appoint people rather than vote for people. Hell, they don't listen to us now. So what do you think about that? I mean, we are getting screwed, glued, and tattooed here.
Yeah. And when I, certainly all throughout the district, but all throughout the state, that is one of the biggest issues that I hear from people is their power bill. I know when I open up and get my power bill every month, I cannot believe how expensive it is. And I know you brought up that point before about why there's a guarantee for Alabama Power. I don't know the answer to that, but I am definitely going to try to find out why that is statutorily required. Because you're right, no other business has that guarantee that they would get that benefit. So I see someone asking if I've ever had a bill passed. Oh yeah, I've had plenty of bills passed. One, I led the effort to ban Glock switches, so devices that turn a pistol into a machine gun. I worked very closely with law enforcement and Senator Barfoot, and we got that passed. I secured funding through the budget process to start a mental health program for students and education employees. Another budget item I secured was for a conflict resolution program in Montgomery Public Schools, so to help teach our young people how to deal with conflict in a nonviolent way. I passed a bill dealing with when people make false reports to police and these swatting incidents where law enforcement have to show up. It's a waste of their resources. I passed that bill, passed another bill dealing with postal workers who were getting assaulted, putting more protections in place for them. So those are just a few of the bills that I've passed, and I'm proud of that record. And look, as a Democrat in the super minority, I've worked well across the aisle with Republicans to get things passed. We disagree on a lot, but have found common ground on issues where there is that agreement.
One thing I do like about you is that you always seem to be a relatively logical person, unlike most Democrats I know who are all emotional. Oh, let's do something, blah, 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 blah. By the time they get there and crying, all you see is water, rather than getting something done. But let me ask some, and are the bills down there? It looks, I don't know, is it color or is it philosophy that's the biggest impediment between our folks getting along down there who supposedly represent us?
Yeah, so some of it is that there are fundamental differences on very important issues, whether it's funding public education, whether it is voting rights, whether it is teaching true history and what books can be in libraries. So there are some very strong fundamental differences on important issues, but people really do, for the most part, get along, and it is not as acrimonious as it maybe is on the federal level. And a lot of it comes down to the districts that we represent. Different, for example, in a district where there's a higher percentage of people who are working class, Medicaid expansion is an even bigger issue because you have a lot of working people who are not able to afford health insurance. So some of those differences between parties, yes, then most Democrats are Black, most Republicans are white, but I wouldn't say it's always a racial issue. It's a difference about the issues themselves. And I do see one, and I know there are lots of comments, so I can't comment on all of them, but the gun bill was already federal law. So law enforcement, police, sheriffs, all district attorneys in our state, the thing that they said was with the federal law, they can only turn those cases over to the federal government, and the federal government would then decide. So we wanted to empower law enforcement in Alabama. So to the gentleman asking that question or making that point, if you back law enforcement in the state, you certainly would support a state law. There are all sorts of things that are federal law that we also pass Alabama laws on. So it's that we have a federalist system for a reason where we have federal law, but then we have state law to empower state officials.
Okay. Again, though, can you, if you don't know why, I would love for you to look into why Alabama Power, one of the most profitable utilities in America, why do they still need the guarantee of the state of Alabama off the backs of the citizens, guaranteed a certain percentage of profit? Are you familiar with that?
I am, because you've brought it up over the years, and I will definitely check. I don't know if it is that it is statutorily required in an Alabama state law, and maybe something that the Public Service Commission has allowed as a regulation. Happy to talk. And just on that note of the Public Service Commission, I'm sure your listeners have been following along. There has been an effort to take away the people's right to elect members of the Public Service Commission, which is, to me, absolutely insane. We should not be taking away people's right to vote. We should not be taking away your right to elect members of such an important commission. So, and that was an example where all that pressure put on last week, it ended up pulling the bill off of the House floor because there was so much pressure from the public. So I continue to urge people, and this is not a Democrat or Republican issue. It's something where the people should have a say. That people should be able to choose members of the commission, and particularly when power bills are so high, people have every right to ask the questions, Kevin, that you're asking, and want answers to that.
Okay. Here's a question. My good friend Don says, should Alabama have congressional districts based on race? What would your comment be?
So they should be based off of the United States Constitution, the Equal Protection Clause, and the Voting Rights Act. And for decades and up to the Supreme Court have said that that any districts that are racially packed or racially split up are unconstitutional, because you take away the vote of minority voters, or you pack them so much in a district that it also dilutes their vote. So I don't think it should be solely based off of, it should just be white or black, but it should be based off of the United States Constitution. It should be based off of the Federal Voting Rights Act. And so far the courts have said that you can't have districts where you're intentionally putting, black voters in ways that they're not able to elect a candidate of their choice, is the language that they use.
So that's on color. So that's done by color then. I mean, it's almost like black folks don't have any brains. We can't decide for our own self who we want to vote for unless some congressional committee, some House committee, decides to, let's put all the black folks there on Fairview. Let's put him in District 2. It does seem that it's done by color.
So I'm going to disagree with your point that saying black folks don't have brains. That absolutely not true. And secondly,
we're human beings. I mean, we're human beings. We can vote for whoever we want to when we go to the polls.
Right. But if you have a district that is, say 70, 80% white voters, and white voters in this state overwhelmingly vote for Republicans, then those black voters in the district, who they're not just based off of race, but their values and views on, like I said, things like public education, healthcare, voting rights, then don't as really in practice have the chance to elect someone who's going to stand for their views. And I would say this: I represent right now a district that's majority black. So black voters in the district didn't say, we need to have someone who's black. They said, hey, let's elect the best person for the job. And I'm grateful that was me. So it's not always the case that it means that a majority black district is only going to be a black elected official. But I look, and let me just, one last point I want to say, look, John, we pay a lot of lip service to John Lewis and others. They sacrificed for the Voting Rights Act, and the courts have said that it should allow for some of these majority black districts. So we certainly should honor that. Right now, Republicans have a supermajority in the House and the Senate here in the state. So if anything, we should be trying to balance it out a little bit more.
Okay, let's talk about education. I'm so sick of hearing about it. I don't know what to do. The budget for the state of Alabama is $3 billion. We seem to be able to run a state on that. The budget for the Education Trust Fund is $10 billion. So why can't we seem to get an education system that takes our kids upwardly, make them upwardly mobile? We have a proliferation of private schools private academies now more than at any time in the history of the United States. So it isn't about money and all the money. And is it true? And now to answer, is it true that all the money in the education trust fund does not go toward education?
Yeah. So look, money is not the end all be all to solving educational issues, but it can make a big difference as far as recruiting, being able to pay teachers and recruit the best and the brightest and keep them in the classroom, have smaller classes, have all the proper technology, have buildings that are not falling apart and in horrible conditions. So the funding does help and is really important. What I'm really concerned about right now is that there's now a voucher program where families who have any sort of income, they can be the wealthiest families in Alabama, they can take public dollars and use that to send their child to private school. And I think that is a horrible use of public taxpayer dollars. And I get it, families, some really do what they can to make ends meet to send their child to private school. But we should not be sending public dollars and taking away from our public schools, because that's only going to increase the education trust fund budget even more by allowing a no income cap on sending that money from public schools to private schools for vouchers.
Okay. Now let me ask you a question, because I'm a reasonable guy. I'm not the smartest guy in the room most of the time, but I'm not way back in the back. So let me ask you this question. It's my money. I pay the taxes that we're talking about here. Why shouldn't I be able to use my part of the money that goes to the education and send my child to any school that I want to send him to? And just to make it plain, most people don't want to have to pay an additional amount of money, okay, to send them to another school when we're already paying for the public school system. So if we are doing that, isn't the problem the school system and not me?
So let me answer it in two parts. One, so like everybody pays into the, some taxes and that go for, say, things like police and 911 and emergency operations. There are some people who then decide to hire private security, and that is their choice. But we all pay into the public good because that is something then that everybody could benefit from. So the same thing with public education, everybody pays into it because it is for the public good. It's for everybody to have that option and choice. But just like hiring private security in addition to, say, public police, if people want to decide to send their child to private school, that is an individual choice that they're making. And as far as though we can and should do better with our overall public schools, they've made progress. And I know some of your listeners know my first job after college was teaching here at Lee High School, of course, now Percy Julian. I'm really proud of that and really proud and supportive of Montgomery Public Schools. But we absolutely should continue to strive to do better. I think something that we should really look at, and we're doing more of this, but allowing our young people to, if they want to learn a trade, if they want to learn, a lot of them are great with computers and computer science and AI. We should have more options for what our young people are learning, so that way they're more passionate about what they're doing in school. And I think you'll see an increase in performance and outcomes because of that.
And I think you're right. Now, but the problem I have with education, and my last child just got out of there last May, so I'm very familiar with the school system. But my problem is there's no discipline for the most part in school. We are teaching them that transgenderism, which there's no such things as a transgender. You can't change your gender. You can't change your sex. So why are we being intellectually disingenuous with our girls and boys in school? You can't change your sex.
I don't know of that being taught anywhere in Alabama, or certainly not in Montgomery Public Schools. And I agree, we should be focusing on teaching, reading and writing and math, and teaching our young people how to, about credit scores and interest rates and how to invest money. I mean, we should be focusing on all of the things that are going to help them advance and empower them. So I agree with you. I don't know of that being taught in Alabama. or Montgomery Public Schools, and certainly think and agree that we should be focusing on the things that are going to help prepare our young people for their futures. And that certainly, I do a lot of mentorship work. I know you had Charles on earlier, and continuing to do that work where we empower young people, where we help guide them on the right path is so important.
Mm-hmm. One more thing. Listen, you've always been, and that's what I liked about you, even for a Democrat. I've always liked about, because you've always been involved. You don't just talk the talk, you have walked the walk. You have spent your own money. Every year you take kids who would never, unless they join the military, would never get an opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. and all these places to see the powers, the institution of our government. So I do appreciate you for that. But you still belong to that odious party. But let me
when the other party is when you have all sorts of craziness and meanness and nonsense. Look, neither party is perfect. At the end of the day, though, it should be about solutions. It should be about making sure that we're focused on the people and what's best for them. I do see, and I'm trying to read some of the comments that come in here. I see my good friend Willie Durham. Will there be a lottery this session? Yeah, so we did talk about that a little bit earlier. I did file a bill to create a lottery, and what will really help is for the public to call on leadership in the House, leadership in the Senate, and say they want to see the lottery bill come. We saw that with the Public Service Commission, that when people call and put that pressure on it, it can influence what bills come up or don't come up. So certainly hope that it does this session, because every year that goes by, we're missing out on so much money that can benefit the people of the state. Okay.
And again, we didn't, here we go with the 10 Commandments again. Now, listen, I'm a church-going man, a God-believing man. It is such a colossal waste of time to mandate that the 10 Commandments be on the wall in schools when we're trying to get it in their heart. Okay, so the whole, this is propaganda 101. That's not going to help one child, because a child who believes in the good Lord is going to come to school, act the right way anyway, because his mom and daddy or dad or mom, whoever it is, has probably already told him about Jesus Christ and the 10 Commandments. Why are we wasting time with this thing every doggone year or so?
Yeah, we should be, to my earlier point, focusing on things in school that are going to help prepare our people economically and for good jobs. I agree. Parents and families should be teaching the 10 Commandments. They should be teaching those values at home. Certainly hope that our young people are being brought to and going to church on Sundays, getting involved with Bible study and Bible camp. And we should be doing more of that in society. But you're right. In our schools, we have a lot of issues that we should be focusing on. And it should be, are we preparing our young people economically?
Okay. Hey, one more thing. Since you've been in the legislature a while, why isn't all the money in the education fund being used for education? $10 billion we can't seem to run. But we pay Nick Saban and all these folks, and I realize all the money that Nick get and all these coaches get is not totally it's from the boosters and stuff like that. But we still give them a significant amount of money just to coach football and things of that nature. But why is it, okay, that all the money in the school trust fund does not go for education, and it's in the thing that says education trust fund?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I certainly understand that point. And I'm not defending it. I'm just sharing.
Well, you are, but that's okay.
No. But what I'm going to say is that anything it goes to an public educational institution. So whether that's higher ed, and therefore then trickles down to other parts of the schools, it is legally justified. Again, I'm not defending and saying that is right. But that is why there are things in the education trust fund that are not directly going to schools or directly for education purposes. If it gets into some broad category that can be defined as education.
Oh, I got you. So why would we just call it the legislative slush fund?
You may be onto something with that.
Okay.
No, overall though, the budget though is the education budget is used overwhelmingly for schools and for things that are for the best interests of the people of Alabama. But yes, we certainly should always look at it and say, is this the best use of funds? Is this truly something that's educational?
Here's another problem that I've learned. Well, nice thing about getting old, you remember things that people say. Let me see if let me see if there's somebody who wants to talk to you, their representative. Good morning. You on the air? Are you on the
Good morning.
Yeah, you want to talk to?
Good morning, sir. Hi.
Do you want to talk?
How you doing, sir?
Do you want to talk?
Yes, I want to talk to him.
Well,
I want to say something to him.
Well, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
The stock market is $50,000. $50,000. The stock market is $50,000. That's all I want to say.
So let me say this. And so for those who may not know, the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, quoted that when she was being questioned about sexual predators and wanted to somehow say, well, just because the stock market is doing well. So I think that's the point that gentleman was making. Look, the stock market, though, I'm glad when the stock market does well, but we have to also make sure we're putting money in the pockets of everyday Alabamians. And also, this is a whole other subject, but the Attorney General shouldn't be trying to say that we shouldn't go after sexual predators or cover that up by saying the stock market is doing well.
And one more thing. We have to redefine what a sexual predator is, because I work with an organization that works with people who can't find jobs, can't do this, can't do that. And here's one of the things I've found there, Representative. We had a guy once that was 15 years old. Y'all hold on a second till I get done with this call here, with this question. A guy who was 15 years old had an engagement with a girl at that time. Now, he was 19, she was 15, somewhere around there. He's 42 now, and we still we got him on a sexual predator list. Okay? 42 now. We are messing up people's lives because what they did when they were youngsters. And now some of these people are the same people now who can't live, who can't get a job. Okay, I'm 17, and I think he was 17 and she was 15. Now he's 42. He's still on a stupid register list. Didn't do any more than any other 15, 17-year-old used to do back in the day. But because the parents got upset, now I got a young man now who can't get a job, living in the streets, okay, because something he did at 17 years old. We got a problem with our laws. Okay, yeah. Nobody stuck like that.
No, and look, there are other situations where there should absolutely be consequences for breaking the law, for doing something wrong. But right, it should not be if there are situations where they're young, when it happens, and we should give people a second chance. We shouldn't just give it, essentially be a life sentence where it's then hard, right, to get a job or to better themselves. So you're right. We should look at some of those laws dealing with giving people a second chance, making sure that they're not, excessively punished, for the rest of their lives.
Okay. I mean, y'all need to look into that. I mean, I got people now who got to live on the street now because we can't let them live, but in certain neighborhoods because of something that happened 30 years ago. I mean, that's ungodly. If God punished us the same way that we punish us, none of us would ever make it to heaven. Okay, I'm just thinking, if I do something at 70, you can have a child today kill somebody at 17. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Somebody killed somebody today, and we can't tell you who they are because they were 17 years old. But if I had messed around and got a little bit back in the day, now I'm forever on the predator list. Now I'm living in the street because I can't get a job. I can't live no place. So what are we doing?
Yeah, and I think, the comment that I see, there's a big difference. There's where old men preying on little children. Yeah, totally two different situations. But I think, Kevin, the point you're talking about, that we should have laws that are at least reasonable, that if there were younger people that got caught up in something, that there's a second chance.
Yeah. Go ahead, Simply Days.
I just wanted to ask him a question about the voter ID that was passed, and what are his feelings on it?
Voter ID, there, Mr. Ensler.
Sure. So we should. You have to, show a government ID to get on an airplane, to, for all sorts of things. So I think it is reasonable to have to show a government ID for voting. What I don't think people should have to do, though, is prove their citizenship. That is something that, a lot of people don't have a passport. They don't have their birth certificate. So that is going to make it even harder for people to prove. And a lot of people who are U.S. citizens would have issues with that. So no, I think a government ID is very reasonable. But beyond that, it starts to then encroach on people's, ability to register and to vote.
Mm. Okay. Is that what you got, Simply Days?
Well, I was just going to say, if you're poor, you got to show your ID to buy a 6-pack of beer, but it's a big deal to show it to go vote.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Appreciate it. We don't mind showing that ID to get a 6-pack, but we don't want to show one when we go to vote. I think, you know what? It seems to me that our legislators, not necessarily you or anybody, want to make these bills awfully cumbersome because they really don't want them to pass. But they make as if they wanted to pass, but then they add so many things on top of it until there's no way for it to pass. Like the bill for lottery. Well, we always seem to put gaming in there, knowing people don't really care about gaming. We just want to lie. I want to be able to go down there and pay $1 and see if I can win.
Sure, no, and that should absolutely be the people's choice. Kevin, I do have to run in a second. I'm going to visit McIntyre High School here in Montgomery, the alternative school. And we're supposed to go visit some students there. But happy to take one more question, and then always happy to come back on and continue the conversation.
Okay. Well, anyway, when you find out who they all work for, how about letting us know? Oh, do you think non-citizens should vote?
No, only United States citizens should vote.
Okay, then that's good. Okay, so I might throw that vote to you then. I'm not, for a Democrat though, you're pretty reasonable. I can appreciate that.
I appreciate it. And let me wrap up with this. Look, at the end of the day, it's about focusing on solutions for people, and that's keeping hospitals open, putting more money in people's pockets to help pay their bills. It's about having good education for our young people. And the last thing, we didn't touch on this, but safe neighborhoods. Doesn't matter what part of town, what part of the state you're in, everybody should live in a safe neighborhood. So Democrat, Republican, we should be focusing on where there is that common ground. And always appreciate, though, having these conversations, Kevin. It's in a day and age where people just get on there and post stuff. It's good to talk through the issues like this.
Okay. Thank you there, Phil. Have a great day. And I forgot to tell you, you are running for lieutenant governor.
I'm running for lieutenant governor, and ask for everyone's vote and support, whatever your political background, just asking that you consider someone who's solution oriented. But I appreciate you all. Thank you, Kevin. Everybody have a great day. Oh, and let me wrap up on this note. I know a lot of people, we woke up to the news of Reverend Jesse Jackson passing. I know that's weighing heavily on a lot of people's hearts. So certainly keeping him and his family in our prayers and condolences to them.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Hey, thanks a lot, Representative. It's always good to talk to you. I mean, for a Democrat, I really actually kind of like talking to you.
It's always good to talk to you, Kevin.
Yeah, most of them I don't like, but you're doing a good job.
I love you, colleagues. All right, take care.
Appreciate it. All right, then. Got him go. I got to take a break, but we shall return uno momento. Okay, so don't y'all go nowhere. I got to take a 3-minute break, and we shall return uno momento. All right, as soon as this works.
We change the world in history right here where we're from. It's no beginning to you and me, 'cause we're not done. In our city, in our city, in our city, when I die. I appreciate that.
Okay, enough of that. Enough of that. All right, well, we're back. Had to pause for the call. Let me see if I can get my face back on the thing there right quick. If you want to give us a call, unfortunately, see, I got to figure out a way to make that thing not to make all that noise when it comes on. Anyway, you can give us a call at that number right there if you got something on your mind you want to get off your mind or whatever the case may be. Let me see now. Simpler days. Okay, what else is going on? Well, everybody does have a birth. Somebody says, why don't they just... That's true. Everybody's got a Social Security card that's born in America. So I think y'all just do it by Social Security number. Because one thing about it, once that Social Security number is gone through the system, then it ain't coming back through. Dr. Joe.
Dog.
Yes.
Let me address your brother Duke. The Dow is not at 50,000; it's at 49.5. But I'm sure that Duke will come on and tell how glad he is of all the good economic news from last week.
Man, I saw some of that
inflation report.
Yeah, I saw that. I said, wow.
Yeah, I mean, all the economic news last week, GDP and everything else. I mean, it's doing awesome. So Duke ought to come on here and talk about how great the economy's doing. I think he'd like that. And by the way, that fellow that was talking about he doesn't like the voucher deal. So he's saying that a kid that's in a poor and failing public school shouldn't be able to go to a good school. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, that's what he thinks.
Yeah. And I if he's got kids, I wonder if he sends his kids to a failing school, or does he send him to he or she to a magnet school? I bet he doesn't send his kid to a failing school. How much you want to bet?
Yeah, probably not.
I bet you a chicken dinner.
Yeah, nobody would if they could get out of it.
That's right. Except you. You would send your kid to a failing school because you did.
Well, now that's only because now I want you to think of this for a second. Only because if you go to the school and you take all the great kids out, what do you have left?
Well, you have Montgomery schools. They're the ones that designed the magnet schools to take all the great kids out.
And again, but until that happens, then what we're going to do is we're going to separate our kids by intellect. Which I don't. If you're super intellectual, then you don't have no business in a regular school anyway. You know, gifted school, I think that's what they call it. But again, if you take
that's what magnet schools are for.
Right, but at the level where magnet schools are, that's just a regular school. What it used to be.
No, it's not.
Yeah, where I'm from, it is.
Not the very highest school. The LAMP program is not. It's where I told you about a few years ago. Now the girl that went to my church that scored a perfect score on the SAT. I told you about that, right?
No.
And she got a scholarship to Princeton. She's majoring in science. Well, she went to that school. She So what's wrong with that?
Well, nothing wrong with that, but now Nellos does bring up a thing here, and again, transportation. It's going to take all your little money that you saved, and now you got to pay it on gas and transportation and tires and wear and tear. Are you still losing?
You can do it. You can do it.
Who can do it?
Well, if you're going to a magnet school, they're gonna pick you up with a bus.
Yeah, well, that's true too. But again, why can't the standard be the magnet school?
Well, Now, you need to be asking that. Of course, I know you have to all those board members down there.
Yeah, I mean, why can't? Because the magnet school standard is not that high anymore. You got to do 2.5 GPA to get there. Who in the hell can't make a 2.5?
It's not getting into magnet school, Kevin. It's coming out. It's graduating from it. Because I had kids that got kicked out at my private school because they weren't making the grades at the magnet school.
If I don't make the grade, here's my question: if I don't make the grade, is that because I'm intellectually deficient, or your teaching sucks?
No. The kid that I got was a great kid, very intellectual, but she just was lazy and had other things going on that she deemed important in her life besides school.
Well, I'm like somebody said, what do you call a guy who passes med school with a D? You still call him
doctor.
You still call him doctor. So,
well, what do you call a failing school in Montgomery? A public school.
Yeah, but all the failing schools, all our schools in Montgomery don't fail, do they?
No, I agree, but most of them.
And again, what are the metrics of failure? If you make me put dumb kids in the same classroom, or we spread them throughout the school,
that's the law, Kevin. You have to do it.
So what is so the kids look like they're failing, or the system, when actually what they're doing is they're lumping all the.
You don't see that in Homewood schools or Hoover schools. You don't see that.
Mm.
And by the way, I guess you saw what a great job the public schools were doing under Governor Ivey. Did you see that report that came out? It was on either 1819 News or Yellowhammer News.
Yeah, I don't know if it's true or not. That's just my problem.
Well, you don't have to know if it's true or not, but it came out. If it had been bad news, you wouldn't have said anything either, would you?
Well, I can't keep up with all the news. I got so many. Did you know Robert Duvall died?
Did you know Jesse Jackson died?
I didn't know till a while ago, actually. Yeah,
that's right.
I didn't know. So I say I can't know everything.
Well, you claim to know everything.
Well, sometimes. No, I claim to be the smartest guy in the room. Until
I come in, until I walk in.
Till you walk in. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Kevin.
Appreciate it, Dr. Joe. Again, I was trying to show you guys something. This right here. I forgot. Okay. Sometimes when I when I put on a video, I have to relieve myself of the sound. So I'll try to remember that. Hold on to that caller, because I can't talk to you right now. I got to show something right quick. I think this is really, really, really a great thing. Okay. Now, I want you to look at this for a second, then I'll get back to you guys in a minute here, because I think this is really good. And this is what I have always said. Rather than telling our kids all the time, "Oh, Jim Crow got you," yeah, we'll do some stuff. Matter of fact, I got a thing here. Me and Jesse talking. As a matter of fact, I think I'll play some of that tomorrow if I can get it done. We're always talking about what we can't do. Oh, I'm from a poor family. My daddy ain't there. My mom ain't there. Blah 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 blah. Well, for your listening and seeing eyes, this are the stories that I like to hear. So just hold on. Let me see if I can get this to work. Okay, let me see if I can get this to work. I think I can. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Right now.
Take a good look at these 5 doctors. More than a portrait, it's a moment suspended in history. For the first time, 5 African-American surgeons now lead the trauma service at the preeminent Johns Hopkins Hospital. Tonight, we hear from some of the trailblazers behind this historic team.
My parents are so proud. I am the first physician in my family, and I think it's so impactful.
For Dr. Lawrence Brown, medicine is more than science. It's service.
That's what's important to me. Equity has to remain at the forefront of how we deliver patient care, how we do research, how we scale programs up in our healthcare system.
Dr. Zachary Numa is the result of service that was modeled and purpose that was inherited.
Growing up in Columbus, Georgia in the 1990s, I watched my parents, my mom, a family medicine doc, my dad, a general surgeon, show up to serve patients every day.
For Dr. Ife Shiombo, history isn't just remembered here, it's carried forward.
The best part is that I get to save lives and have an impact every single day. To anyone who's watching, realize that your dream and capacity can only be limited by you. And if you can think it, see it, then you can absolutely reach it.
History making. I'm Lindsay Davis. Good night. Finally, the doctors behind a different type of medical breakthrough. Take a good look at these 5 doctors. More than a portrait, it's a moment suspended in history. For the first time, 5 African-American surgeons now lead the trauma service.
I got you on that one. Anyway, I just thought that was really, really, really something really interesting, that we spend too much time telling our kids what you can't do, about the barriers, as opposed to finding it, what it is that you want to do, and getting it done. Okay? So that just, these are the story, 5 of them in one place in Johns Hopkins. I'm telling you, that is a privilege to be able to do that. But anyway, so much for that. I just think it was a fantastic thing for Black History Month and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't know Jesse Jackson had died, actually. I just didn't know that. I know he had Parkinson's disease for a little while there. So, but I think he would be missed. He talking about somebody who was actually with Dr. Martin Luther King, and of course he was with Dr. Martin Luther King. I think the day that he died, I believe. Hold on a second there, young man. Hold on a second there. Let me get to you. All right, what you want, Duke? Whoever this is. Okay, well, I lost you. Anyway, so much for that. I love this story, though, about these 5 doctors, and that's what we need to tell our kids more of. You have to, there's more to life than playing football and basketball and being a rapper. Okay, there's just more to life. Most rappers will probably leave here broke anyway. Yes, Don.
So why is it so amazing there are 5 Black doctors?
It's just amazing. I think.
Is it because Blacks ain't got the sense to be doctors? Why is it so amazing?
Of course not. It is not something that you see often at Johns Hopkins.
Well, can I be proud that there are a lot of white doctors?
Well, sure you can be.
And hopefully they don't say they're Republicans. That's Ben Carson.
Well, that's a problem too. But
yeah, and then they won't be so damn smart.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay then. Well, yeah, they kind of Clarence Thomas and what's his name. Anyway, good morning.
Sergeant Elkins.
Yes, sir.
I want to make sure I heard you correctly. Did you say you were not aware that Reverend Jesse Jackson had passed?
No, I wasn't aware until a little while ago.
You don't watch the news in the morning? You don't get no reporting before you go in there?
I get up. Ain't a whole lot of time between getting up and getting in there.
You don't get up at 0:30?
No, we ain't doing that no more. No.
Okay. Yeah, but it was reported on all the major news agencies. I got up at 05. But anyway, so now that you know, I think it would be very fitting to at least have a tribute to his life and all that he's done for human rights.
Yeah,
I
talked to him on the air. He been on my show a couple times. I think I'll play some of that tomorrow with him and I.
Yeah.
Sat down and
I think it'd be very befitting for you to have a tribute to a life well lived.
Yeah. Because one thing about Jesse Jackson, I don't care whether you agree with politics or not, him and even to an extent Al Sharpton, they were able to get a national audience to an issue.
Well, he changed politics. If you look at the fact that when he ran, you used to, if you won a state, you got all those votes for that state, and then they started doing it proportionally. And even though Hillary Clinton won probably more states than Barack Obama, but when you look at how they proportioned the votes, it allowed Bill Clinton and Barack Obama to ascend to the highest office in the land because of what Jesse did with changing the way they do vote. So I think it's very befitting if you would have at least acknowledgement tomorrow of how he made a difference in this country. Thank you, sir.